But this one's really interesting. It says debunking the worst World Cup opinions on the internet. The thumbnail is crazy. I don't know who this guy is. That might be outlandish already. That might be outrageous. I mean, this guy greater than Ronaldo? Yeah, bro. Yeah, bro. You're losing your fucking
So
mind.
listen to this. Since nothing sparks up
So
more
listen to
horrendous
this.
football takes than the World Cup, I felt it was my duty as a serial hot take debunker to come in and save the day. So here it is. Pele's World Cups are overrated and Mbappe is the greatest.
I agree with that. I agree with that. I'm sorry. This guy was playing with handymans and plumbers. Sorry, bro. There's no way. It's like saying Will Chamberlain or the other guy who has 11 rings, bro. Like, he was playing with people that, were getting off 5 jobs. Like, I'm not downplaying their skill, but if they were to play this era, they're not doing the same thing. Sorry.
World Cup player ever. Look, in 2018, he first scored the goal that put them through to the knockout stage, though it would literally have gone in had he not touched it. Then, in the last 16 against Argentina, you just gotta lift up your hands and give it to him. One of the greatest World Cup performances of all time, maybe the tournament's defining moment. However, then, in the quarters, he had a truly forgettable performance, and
Wait, what? He says one of the best performing World Cup performances? Yeah, nah, now you're just talking out of your ass, bro. I came here because you're creditable. Please do not,
one of the greatest World Cup
2018?
performances of all time, maybe the tournament's defining moment. However, then, in the quarters, he had a truly forgettable performance. And though in the semis he did pop off with 6 key passes despite not scoring or assisting, then in the final, though he did score, it was France's 4th goal when they were already leading by 2. A great goal for sure, but not exactly an earth-shattering performance. As for 2022, a goal and assist in the opener, a brace to secure a place in the knockouts in the second game, and then 2 goals and 1 assist to secure a 3-1 win in the last 16. But that was against Australia, Denmark, and Poland. Not exactly the toughest of opposition, and then, well, no direct contributions in the quarters or semis against Morocco and England. Truly understated performances to say the least. So, even though he proceeded to close it all up with the first hat-trick in a World Cup final since 1966, well, even then, 2 of those goals were penalties.
So,
I mean,
yes.
sure, don't get me wrong. Any player in
Mbappe is the
any
most
given game will
overrated
only
player.
have about a 55% chance of converting 2 penalties in a row, and to do it in the biggest stage of all just has to be that much harder. But it does make it a little less impressive. Especially given that, as unfair as it may have felt, he did lose the game. So yeah, I get it, definitely the best World Cup player of his generation, but best ever? No. We have definitely seen things like this before. Let's not even talk.
Give it to me. Give it to me, the facts.
Gerd Muller played 2 World Cups, same as Mbappe up till now. In his first, he opened the group stage by scoring 9 out of Germany's 10 goals. I'm not even kidding. And after all of that, since back then there was no round of 16, he scored in extra time to beat the holding champions England in the quarters, and then scored twice in extra time against Italy, only to watch his teammates concede 3 goals in that same window of time to rob him of a place in the final. Sure, he'd still assist the only goal in the 3rd place match to get the bronze medal, but I definitely say that was more heartbreaking than Mbappe's defeat in 2022. However, the thing is, Muller did it in reverse, showing up 4 years later and only scoring once in the first group stage, but then scoring or assisting in every single game of the second group stage. Yeah, 2 group stages, it was a weird format that year. Still, all of this, including the goal that secured them a place in a final, where he scored again to beat Johan Cruyff's Netherlands to the title. Again, undoubtedly a better performance than Mbappe in 2018. And let me tell you, he isn't even.
Yeah, Mbappe is the most overrated, bro. Come on.
R9 technically won 2 World Cups, even if he didn't play in 1994, and even made it to 3 finals. Not to mention that he's more than often only remembered for 2002, where after more than a year out injured, he basically came back from the dead to score in every single game aside from England in the quarterfinals, even scoring a brace against Oliver Kahn in the final, even though that guy was in the middle of maybe the greatest goalkeeping performance in World Cup history. And yet, despite all of that, it was in 98 that he was at the peak of his powers, scoring or assisting 5 out of Brazil's 8 knockout stage goals, only to start having seizures mere hours before the final, as suspicions went around that he had been poisoned. It just doesn't get any more legendary than
R9 is literally known, like, he's known as one of the greatest World Cup, like, individuals, like, he has the greatest World Cup individual performances, so Yeah, like R9 definitely over Mbappe. I don't know who put Mbappe there.
Even then, that's only focusing on forwards. What about Zidane, who won one final with a brace and then lost another in the final match of his career by being sent off for headbutting Materazzi, though up till then he had been the best player in the tournament, completely demolishing Brazil in the quarters.
Completely.
What about Beckenbauer, a defender who scored 4 goals in his first tournament, damn near forced his way to a final in his second while playing with his arm in a sling, and finally conquered it all in his third and final tournament? Sure, Mbappe is on the list and he definitely has a chance to top it by the end of his career, but keep your feet on the ground. It certainly hasn't happened yet.
You should stop
Next.
glazing him, man. You're doing tricks that are crazy. You're doing aerial tricks, double, triple backflips. Like, come on, bruh. You're glazing him, man, too much. Keep your feet on the ground. At least do that. Nah.
No, because since a lot of you are downplaying Pele, claiming he's some kind of fraud or overrated or whatever, we gotta talk about him too. So, in 1958, at 17 years of age, he gets called up supposedly with only the intention of being a bench player. But after a draw to England puts their qualification from the group stage at risk, he gets brought on against the Soviet Union, assists one of the decisive goals, then scores their only goal against Wales to get to the semis, where he scores a hat-trick to demolish France before ending it all with a brace in a final. That's an average of a goal or assist every 51 minutes.
But nigga, he was playing against my garden boy. This nigga was playing against my school teacher, gang. You cannot be talking. Like, I understand he was 17. Shout out to the man. He was young. Actually, shout out to the boy. But like, bro, you can't give it to him. It's a skill gap, bro. Like, give that same Pele right now. Is he doing that? No, he's not. He's not. You know what I'm saying? So like, I commend that he did it, but he just, skill was just It's like
17. When Mbappe won his first World Cup, he averaged 1 every 133. Say whatever you want about their respective eras, there is no comparison imaginable. Still, in the following tournament in 1962, let's be fair, though he did score or assist both of Brazil's goals in the 2 games he was available for, he then got injured and watched Garrincha clutch a second title from the bench. And in 66, he did get run over by Eusebio, who was having himself one of the greatest World Cup performances of all time. But 1970 is incredibly underrated. He was 29 years old, already slowing down at the club level, but then he shows up, and aside from the 6 assists in 6 games, with 2 of them coming in the final, he also scores 3 goals, and guess what? With 1 of them being in the final. Sure, Jairzinho scored 7 goals, but it was Pele who ran the show. So, even if he was very lucky to get that second World Cup title, he was the player of the tournament in 2 winning campaigns. Only R9, Messi and Maradona ever got close to doing something like that. But even if they had won their second final, neither of them kept their level that high in both tournaments. So, that's that. Next. With the way things are going, Mbappe will be known as second fiddle to Dembele at the end of their careers.
What does that mean?
So, do I really have to remind you that Dembele was so poor in the 2022 World Cup final that he got subbed off only 41 minutes into that game? That he has literally never scored a goal in his 4 international tournaments for France? Even in the qualifiers, he has only scored 2, as well as only 2 more in the Nations League. Sure, you can try to downplay Mbappe's club career as much as you want, but Ballon d'Or or not, no matter how you flip it, Dembele's national team performances will always be more embarrassing. Next, Ramos should be starting every game.
Nobody on cool out. Them talk to us, boss. My fault. My fault for treating my opinion. My fault, bro. I thought it was a free country. Shout out to you, though.
Over Ronaldo. And
what do you say?
Should be
Ramos should be starting every game over Ronaldo during the World Cup. Ramos like Ramos from Spain and Ronaldo from Portugal? What are we talking about?
Starting every game over Ronaldo. And a lot more comments just like that.
Portugal's going to win the World Cup, but Ronaldo will be the worst player. Without Cristiano Ronaldo, Portugal has a higher chance of winning World Cup, like not on bench out of squad. Ronaldo doesn't deserve the World Cup, but his teammates do. Please let Portugal win as a Portuguese. all we want is to get rid of Ronaldo, and I'm afraid that is the only way. Portugal won't win this or any future World Cup until Ronaldo retires and we get a new striker. Portugal could probably make an incredibly deep run or even win if they didn't start 41-year-old Ronaldo. But since they... Okay. Alright. Who the fuck is writing this? Huh? Who's writing this? Hello? Anyways, who's writing this? Because I don't think it's people who have an IQ or sense. No. Generally, the people that are writing this don't have brains because there is no way you're saying Ronaldo. I get he's not the same Ronaldo, but he's a merchant. He's a merchant. Positioning merchant.
So, okay, let's run the math. First, let's just say, obviously, the only possible Ronaldo replacement is Ramos. People may bring up Paulinho or...
Oh, that's the guy on the thumbnail. See, now I understand. Yeah, still kill them. Shoot them in the head. Aim down sight with a sniper straight to the face. Nothing else, actually. Ramos. Don't know his first name, couldn't care less. Over Ronaldo. Don't care if he's 41, still the GOAT. Don't ever do that. Ever again.
But the reality is that no one else has been given a chance for the national team, and it's not like any miracles are gonna happen now that we're about a month away from the World Cup. So, how good has Ramos really been? Well, this last season, he's only been given 15 starts for PSG, even though so many of their star players have been rested so much that they've barely played themselves. With Dembele, for example, only getting 10 starts in the league all year. Still, despite playing the majority of his minutes in a league that his team completely dominates and getting most of those minutes in relatively low-stakes games, he has scored fewer goals per 90 than Dembele, Kvaratskhelia, Doué, and even Barcola, being only the team's fifth.
His ass. They just basically just put it like that. His ass, and he should never be compared to Ronaldo. That's the GOAT. That's Daddy Ronaldo. That's big boy. That's... Yeah, type shit. Like, you get it?
Most prolific goal scorer, tied with João Neves, a defensive midfielder. So yeah, not very good. So poor in fact that he has fallen out of favor with Luis Enrique over the past 3 months, averaging 16 minutes per game over his last 16 call-ups. He has literally been an unused sub more times over that 3-month period than he had been since May of 2024. Still, you may say that things have been different with Portugal. I mean, that guy scored a hat-trick against Switzerland in the last World Cup. And, well, ever since that tournament, Ramos has scored about 0.68 goals per 90 for the national team. About 58%
over
more
Ronaldo
than
is
the average
crazy.
PSG,
Y'all forget what Ronaldo did? Come on, bro.
Pretty good, right? Yes. However, in that same period, Ronaldo has scored 0.9 goals per 90 for Portugal, while scoring in every knockout round of the Nations League, including Germany and Spain, to bring his nation their 3rd international trophy ever. So, how could you possibly ever justify benching him for Ramos? Sure, the guy is old, he plays out in Saudi Arabia, and a lot of people don't like him. But as long as he's putting the ball in the net more often than any other striker we got, I don't care if he's 50 years old and playing in Antarctica, he has to be our main striker. It's one thing to rest the guy as much as possible because it certainly can't be easy to stay fresh after a 40-game season at 41 years old, but to
okay, there goes my network.
in any do-or-die game would be a quick way to... He has to be our main striker. It's one thing to rest the guy as much as possible because it certainly can't be easy to stay fresh after a 40-game season at 41 years old, but to drop him for Ramos in any do-or-die game would be a quick way to shoot ourselves in the foot. Next, 2014.
Bro, like he's just cooking, bro. He's cooking. He's in the kitchen cooking. He's chef. Call him chef. I don't know his name. Chef Daily Dose of Football because he's cooking. He's cooking.
Germany got the hardest route to be winners.
I'll take 24 Germany. Wait, let him just speak.
Proud to be winners. They had Portugal in the group stage, France in the quarters, then Brazil, which they demolished 7-1, and then Argentina in the final. Yeah, I'd say they had the hardest route in modern history, but looking back, there were definitely some harder ones. In 1982, in the first group stage alone, Italy had to play Boniek's Poland, who'd eventually beat France for the bronze medal. Then, the Peru of Teófilo Cubillas, one of only 3 players to score 5 goals or more in 2 consecutive World Cups. And finally, the Cameroon of Roger Mila, who'd soon make them the first African team to reach the quarterfinals of the World Cup. But that's nothing, because then, in the second group stage, they opened by beating the reigning champions Argentina, then the heavy tournament favorites Brazil with Zico, Socrates and Falcão, before closing it all off by playing Poland again. Not to mention that in the final they had to beat West Germany with Paul Breitner, Lit Barski,
This is the made-up names.
two-time Ballon d'Or
Made-up
winner
characters too.
Karl-Heinz Rummenigge.
You know what I think? I don't think years before 1960 exist. I just think it's a myth. Be honest. Hands down. Like, all these names made up. I think Pele was born after 1960. For sure. That's number 1. Number 2, because you can't tell me, like, how could you even, like, function without the internet, without a lot of medical things that are needed today. Like, if COVID hit back in 1960, everyone's cooked. Dead. We're not even going to talk about the moon landing. Like, bro. Like, it's just all fake. It's just fake.
Literally had the worst drawing time Ballon d'Or winner Karl-Heinz Rummenigge. They Barski.
Wait, whoa.
The two-time
You better be
Ballon d'Or
careful what you said.
winner Karl-Heinz Rummenigge. They
Oh, really? Really? That's how you want. That's how you feel, right? That's how you fucking feel? That's how you fucking feel, nigga? Really? Carl's nigger. You didn't even say nigga. You said nigger. The hardest R I've ever heard. That's worse than fucking Young Thug. Worse than PewDiePie. Carl's fucking nigger? Yeah. Okay. Alright. Carl's fucking nigger.
beat West Germany with Paul Breitner, Lit Barski, and the two-time Ballon d'Or winner Karl-Heinz Rummenigge. They
This shit is funny to you, huh? You're smiling. This shit is so funny to you. Carl's fucking nigger. Alright. Okay. You're lucky because you have some good videos. Otherwise, like, I'm reporting your whole video. And I'm gonna make fake accounts just to report your video. Real talk.
They literally had the worst draw imaginable and still made it past everyone. I think that has to be, without a doubt, the harshest route anyone ever got. Next, Croatia's 2018 run is the best World Cup run in the history of the competition and should have ended.
Yeah, stop right there. I don't even want to fucking listen. The greatest World Cup run? Are you serious? Are you serious, bro? I don't even remember what happened. That's how forgettable it is.
Victory. Listen, just because everyone loved that team, it doesn't mean they should have won. In fact, let me remind you that in 2018, the bracket was extremely uneven and that Croatia got the easy side. And still, they only beat Denmark and Russia on penalties and only beat England in extra time, despite them having the likes of Dele Alli, Lingard and Ashley Young on the starting 11. And I know, people will say that they dominated France in the final with 66% possession and almost twice as many shots. But you know how many saves Loris had to make in that game? One. And they still didn't win. As for whether they had the best underdog run ever, well, Bulgaria was great in '94, but not as good as them. Same with Turkey in 2002 and Costa Rica in 2014. Maybe you could say that South Korea in 2002 was better. They beat Portugal, Italy and Spain back to back and only missed the final after a 1-goal defeat to Germany. But that run was way too controversial to count, in my opinion. So I'd say that Morocco in 2022 are probably their best challengers for that title. First, they drew against Croatia, who were vice champions. Then they beat Belgium. Then they beat Spain, who were about to win the Euros. Then Portugal, and only fell to the title holders' France. There's no question that their opponents were way stronger, but still, a final is a final. So yeah, I'd probably go with Croatia's run as well. Next, Van Basten would have won 3
Damn,
World
what the fuck?
Cups if he didn't retire so early. So, this is just such a random take. I mean, Van Basten didn't even win any matches in the only World Cup he ever played in, and he even failed to qualify altogether in '86. Not to mention that he was 28 when he played his last game, missing the next World Cup by about a year. So, by the time the next ones came around, he'd be around 33 and 37, and he'd have to win all 3. Sure, I guess in '98 the Netherlands only missed the final over a penalty shootout and maybe things could have been different if he was there. But in 2002, once again, they didn't even qualify, so what are we even talking about?
Yeah.
Next,
Such an
Miroslav
asshole.
Klose is the most underrated World Cup winner of all time. I mean,
What is
I feel like everyone
Who's
thinks of
that?
Klose when they think of the World Cup. He's literally the all-time top scorer, so I wouldn't say underrated. Especially not in the year where he actually won it, since the only knockout game he scored in was a 7-1 win over Brazil. Next, Romário should have won the Ballon d'Or in 1994 for his performance in the World Cup. Yeah, but unfortunately that was the last year before they finally allowed non-European players to win it. So, let's just say there's a reason France football went back and rectified it. France are gonna lose this World Cup in the semi-finals because they have too many superstars in their team. Too much salt in a plate can ruin it. Why are you
That's
acting
true.
like they haven't had the most stacked squad in the world for
true.
like 8
I think that take is definitely the most valid out of all the other takes. I think it's true. They're gonna win. They're gonna lose because of too much egos, too much good players. It's like getting like, the Real Madrid team, where it had all the stars, it didn't work out because of that. Specifically because of that. Too much salt on the dish is gonna ruin it. Facts. I think it's facts. France is not gonna make it. Facts.
years now. Next, if Neymar did not break his back, Brazil would have won the World Cup. Listen, even if
True.
Neymar didn't get injured and
That's
they scored
true. What?
5 goals against Germany, they would have still lost 7-1. Remember? Next,
Okay.
the game between
I fucking hate you. You white nigger calling supremacist. This nigga saying Neymar's my GOAT. Don't ever disrespect him. He would have scored 10 goals. Yeah, Kevin. Neymar, you had to put a miracle on that one. You had to. You had to. Like, if you were even okay, you had to, bruh.
Germany and Curacao will have a scoreline yet to be invented. Yeah, Germany still has the World Cup record, 8-0 versus Saudi Arabia in 2002, and I genuinely think they could beat that. Next, Portugal will win the World Cup. Yes, they will.
Damn. Okay, this guy's definitely Portuguese, but okay, Portugal winning the World Cup. I still go for Brazil, but hey, Portugal is my second. Portugal's my second. Anyways, that be video debunking the World Cup opinions on the internet. That was a really good video. I'm not gonna lie. See you guys in the next one. We're gonna be uploading a lot of football content. It's World Cup season.